In the Bible it says, there will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars prior to the return of Christ. We know that God created these lights in the firmaments, for his word says, then God made two great lights, the greater to rule the day, the lesser to rule the night. He made the stars also. It is also quite clear from his word that they are to be for signs and seasons. However, the question is, how do these point to the times of fulfillment? Do these spoken of signs refer to great astronomical disturbances that will accompany Christ's glorious return when he comes to pour out the fire of God's wrath on the ungodly, such as comets, eclipses, meteors, etc.? I personally don't believe that this is what God is referring to, regardless of what most commentaries on the subject might say about it, since those things happen all the time. Although, to be quite honest with you, there was one commentary that did seem at least plausible when I first heard it, because it had a slight magi twist to it. It dealt with the dragon who drew a third of the stars from the heaven with his tail. This commentary stated that the dragon was actually a constellation, and that when it gets in a certain position where its tail covers a third of the stars in the sky, which was supposed to have occurred in October 1997, the start of the end times begins. However, even with this one commentary, I don't believe God is referring to something literally happening above us. I base this belief of mine on the scriptures itself. The Bible states in Psalms that the Lord God is a sun. Since God is the creator, not the created, this verse must be referring to something other than the physical sun. It must be referring to his light that guides us. For the Lord will be your everlasting light, which is why you will no longer need the sun to be your light by day when you become a believer. The Bible states that the city of New Jerusalem had no need of the sun either, or the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God illuminated it. It also states that in this city the Lamb is its light, which is why Jesus is also referred to as the sun. According to Malachi 4:2, the Son of Righteousness will arise with healing in his wings for those who fear God's name. The Son of Righteousness, spelled S-U-N, is a reference to the coming Messiah who will give light to guide our feet. As the rising sun, the Messiah will provide the light of truth and forgiveness to those blinded by the darkness of their sins. Jesus is this comforting light in a dark world. The book of Revelation states that Jesus is the bright and morning star. Although this reference to the morning star in the scriptures is clearly referring to Christ himself, let us not confuse it with another who also was called the morning star, which was Lucifer, who had fallen from heaven. Jesus is the risen one, not the fallen one. As the Bible states, there is one glory for the sun, another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars. For one star differs from another star in glory. The morning star of Satan is generally attributed to the planet Venus, while the glory of the light of Christ matches the sun and is bright enough to allow the nations of those who are saved to walk in it without stumbling. Based on what I've shared with you so far, I've come to the understanding that the sun in the scriptures that mention signs being in the sun, moon, and stars represents Christ and his followers. They're Christians, which is why Jesus stated that he will give the morning star to those who overcome. Meaning, he will allow the faithful believers to share in his glory and splendor. Therefore, let those who love him be like the sun when it comes out in full strength, now that we know what the sun represents. The next logical question should be, who or what are the moon and the stars? I don't think it's just a coincidence that the Muslims have a moon and a star as a symbol, and the Jews have a star. I think this was done for a specific reason by God and those who have divine knowledge, which, by the way, was not to somehow suggest that they worship them in some way, but to align them with the prophetic scriptures I've been talking about. Taken in this context, we are now able to better understand what the scriptures are revealing to us concerning what will happen before the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord, which speaks of a time of tribulation, the sun being darkened and the moon turning into blood, the stars falling from heaven. Therefore, the powers of the heavens will be shaken refers not to heavenly bodies, but to groups of believers who have power from on high, being in turmoil right before Christ makes his glorious appearance. In this context, the sun turning into darkness and the moon into blood now makes perfect sense. It indicates a religious war of some sort that involves Israel. This is the kind of thing that would cause the nations of the earth to be perplexed and in such distress that men's hearts fail them from the fear and expectation of what is coming upon the earth. In that day, the Bible also says there will be a great earthquake, a dividing of the people between those who seek peace and those who seek revenge upon their enemies.